Everyone, in this video, I'm going to be explaining how I, as an 18-year-old still in high school, scaled my agency from 0 to 10K a month in less than a year. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. And I basically simplified this video into 5 or 6 phases, exactly the phases that I went through to build this agency from 0, from the ground up, to over 10K a month at 18 years old. And the whole purpose of this video and overall this channel is to prove to people and really teach them that building wealth at a young age is attainable. At any age is attainable. If you really think about it, the KFC owner started his business at 63. So not just limited to a young age, but at any age. So without further ado, let's get into it. So phase 1 of my agency was start where you're known. The whole basis of this video is based on me scaling my agency purely from warm outreach. What is warm outreach? Let's start with that. That is people who you know. Your parents' friends, your dad's friends, your grandma's friends, anyone that you know that owns a business that could use your services. And the reason why warm outreach is better than cold outreach is because you don't need to give value. You already have that value initially given to yourself because they're a family friend or they're a family member and they're more inclined to refer you and end up giving you a chance of working with you because they already know you. And that's the problem with cold outreach when you're just starting. So I always say this, and purely off cold outreach, I built my agency to over 10K a month. So I can't stress how important, and which is the whole point of the video, why warm outreach is so important. So without further ado, stage 1, start where you're known. So what that kind of means is, again, only reaching out to people when you're just starting, to people who you know, that you don't have to give value, that you can ask a favor and they'll give you a favor in terms of referring you to other people. And when I was just starting, I didn't try to sell. I just offered help, especially for free. The best thing you can do when you're just starting your business is give something for free and really focus on over delivering, right? On a content, basic ads. And I just helped wherever I could. And the key lesson is your first $1,000 online is in your phone contacts. It's not online. It's not cold calling for 10 hours. It's not posting 100 videos on social media. It's in your contacts. And a lot of people actually don't understand that. And that's the first key lesson that really propelled me to my first $1,000 online. So going on to phase two, build while you deliver. What this kind of means is as you're giving results to these clients, as you're actually putting in the time, trying to really get the best results to retain these clients, because it's even harder to retain a client than it is to get a client. So while you're serving these clients in the early phases of your agency, you need to build back-end systems. And what does that mean? What are back-end systems? They're basically systems that systemize and make it easier on you to, let's say, onboard a client. Onboarding is basically the process of taking a client and signing them up, signing them onto your agency, getting access to the ad account, their social medias, etc. And the onboarding is the most important part. So having that back-end system already built out is the most important thing you can do as an agency owner, especially as an early agency owner, because when you're just starting, it's the first thing they see of your agency. So if your onboarding is messy, if it's not simultaneous, if it's not smooth, then they're initially just gonna, it could give them a bad rap on you. It could make them second guess actually working with you. So that's a massive thing that you guys need to have set up, as well as set up Stripe. Stripe is a payment processor I use. There's a bunch of different payment processors that other people can use. Stripe is probably the easiest and best for agency owners. And client portals, high level, could use that. There's a $97 plan, but it tends to get pricey. And we'll go over that more in the next phases. But that's kind of where you manage all your deliverables for your clients and all the leads you get them, funnel building. Go High Level is an all-in-one CRM service that is purely built for agencies, and it's very good to scale. And yeah, you could have it when you're just starting, but it's not recommended. If you are to get it, get the $97 a month plan, and and just get into it from there. And also learn what you're good at, right? Content, ads, branding. What is your agency's strength? Pinpoint that, especially when you're starting. That goes into build while you deliver. So really pinpoint your strength and flow into it from there. If you can find a strength and capitalize on it, now you know, and it goes into finding your target avatar. Now you know what you're good at and what you can capitalize on. And the key lesson from this phase is don't chase the scale, chase the structure first. Most agencies fail because they don't have a proper structure. You need a proper structure in order to scale. So don't skip that part. And that's phase 2. So phase 3 is fulfillment to credibility. And what does that mean? You need to take the wins you get from the first month of working with your clients and make videos, make testimonials, because in this game, why wouldn't people buy from you if you're in business? There's one reason, and that's trust. Because there's so many people in your field, there's so many competitors. The only thing that's holding you back from actually signing a contract or holding the client back from signing the contract is that trust. So how do you cement yourself with trust in this saturated field? That is with more testimonials, and at least some testimonials when you're just starting, than everyone else. So having those testimonials, having those proof of concept, proof of results is so incredibly important when you're starting. So turning a short form for an example, whenever I have a great month with a client when I'm just starting, or just we deliver on our goals, I say, hey, can you film a testimonial with me at the end of the month on how your first month went with us? And what do I do after that? I put an ad behind it. And that ad purely shows, okay, first month deliverables, he completed it. He has a happy client for a month. It gives people more of a inclination to start working with you. And the overall key lesson of phase 3 is to really gather those testimonials and actually start posting content. So proof, posts, pipeline. Stage 4, qualifying. So once you're at stage 4, you're going to be doing a few $1,000s a month. And in that stage, you have to qualify. You can't say yes to every client. I remember I turned down a $5,000 a month retainer because the client just didn't align with our values. And you're going to have to do that because the price of me taking on that $5,000 retainer means a whole bunch of, I don't want to say this online, but a whole bunch of you know what. And it just wasn't good for the agency. It wasn't good for my team. It wasn't good for the morale. And really, you want to qualify who you work with. And I hit a point where just saying yes to everyone was killing my time, energy, and results. And you got to start qualifying clients. Like, set filters. Do they value your marketing, or do they just want a quick fix, right? And especially, you do not want clients who micromanage. That you want them that are coachable and are able to actually be like, okay, these are the experts. Let them do your work. Let them do their work. And do they have a real budget? Do they have the real budget and mindset for real growth? Because it takes time. It's not going to happen right away, but they're going to see it. You're planting a seed when you start working with someone, and you can't give up until it's been at least 90 days, because 90 days statistically proven are when you actually see real change. So I had to turn down a few big leads that look shiny but didn't align, and that's something that you're going to have to do in business, especially for young entrepreneurs and people just starting in this game. You're going to have to turn down big leads, and it's hard, but it builds your resolve. It makes you more motivated, and just know that bigger fish and fish that align with your mission and your agency are out there in the sea. So it's all about just continually being patient because God has a plan. Shifting my mindset. The key lessons in this was every no was making space for a better yes. And that's a very powerful statement. I'll read that again. Every no was making space for a better yes. The key lesson out of this, phase 4, is scaling is subtracting fewer, better clients, which equal more income and more freedom. Because the more no's you can say to free up your time to get that one yes that really fits the mold of your agency and how your agency and team operate, will yield you a way better result in the long run. So that is phase 4. Phase 5 is you go from a freelancer mindset to a CEO mindset. And you're probably like, what does that mean? I started this business. I've been the CEO since the start. When you're just starting, you're doing all the work. You're hustling. You're actually going out doing the outreach. You're going out doing the closing calls. But now you're at this phase where you're at 3 to 5K a month. You have some money to spend. And the whole point of getting into this game is freedom. So when you hit this stage, when you hit this level, it's time to start outsourcing, which is actually getting editing automation, or getting Go High Level Max version, Agency Pro, which is around $500, and setting up an LLC, business banking, contracts, and blocked calendar, time box, deep work. Started thinking about offers, funnels, not just gigs, not just getting clients. You're now building and cementing yourself in the industry. So reinvesting, especially into tools like Go High Level and editing automation, will free up your time as a CEO, right? Not a freelancer, so you can actually build. That's why you're doing this, to build and scale. So the key lesson from this, if you don't automate, if you don't start at least protecting yourself with the LLC, investing in softwares like Go High Level and editing automations, you'll stay stuck at 3 to 5K a month, which is not what we want. This is exactly how I scaled to 10K a month, over 10K a month. These phases condensed. I'm doing my best to explain it, and comment down below if nothing makes sense. I'll shoot you guys a DM and explain it to you more in detail. But going on to the final phase, which is phase 6, and it's green because this is how you get to 5 to 10K a month. And it's not what you think. I always say, and this is, if you guys get anything out of this video, this is the most important thing that's going to come out of my mouth. Every one client you get equals 3. You're probably like, what does that mean? Every one client, if you can serve them well, if you get one client as an agency owner and you serve them so well, don't you think they have other business friends? Don't you think they have other friends that will get FOMO because you're doing so well for them and want to reach out? You can put incentives in play to actually have a referral engine built out to get these referrals. And what? Your client that you're doing well for, the first client, refers you to a second. What about that second client, right? Don't you think if you do well for him, he's going to refer you to his friend, and it's like a chain reaction. So that's why I always say, if you get one client, it really equals 3. And focusing on delivering results for that one first client is the most important thing you can do as an agency, because it can change your life. And that is very real. And yeah, so going into phase 6, from 5 to 10K a month, kind of touch on what I was saying is, what brought in the clients? We really have to think about that and buckle down on it, especially in the warm outreach phase. And you want to identify reaching out to your followers, reaching out to your mom's followers, reaching out to your dad's followers, friends, mom's friends, grandma's friends, family friends, right? That's the definition of warm outreach, or people that you know, people who are in your circle or the vicinity of your parents or your family circle. What worked? Where did the first client come from? Repeat that process. If that first client came from reaching out to mom's friend who owns a business, maybe reaching out to mom again to do some more due diligence, to send you some leads your way that you could end up closing because they get a referral from your mom, right? So it's all about getting back to the basics on what worked. And what I did essentially, and it's on here, is I turned those into weekly systems, right? Maybe with outreach blocks in my schedule. And I really want to maximize, before I move on to any real ads, to cold outreach, to any of that, to where I even hire a sales team, is I want to make sure that every inch of warm outreach, and warm outreach, as you grow as a human, as you get older, will only expand because you meet more people. So it'll only grow and expand. So you really want to start and finish every bit of warm outreach you can do before you go to cold outreach. And that's how I scaled to 10K. And I keep saying that. All I focused on was warm outreach. And I turned those into weekly systems, right? Posting schedule, I just set outreach blocks. I would set aside 3 to 4 hours a day straight. Wake up, send 1,000 messages, right? I would send so many messages that people I haven't spoken to in years were like, oh, I know someone who's interested in that. Oh, I think Vanessa might be interested in that. I know she just opened a new business. Get some thinking, right? And they're more inclined to do that for you because they know you. And you don't have to provide value like you do with cold outreach. And after you have that down, you got to start building a mini team because you'll actually have the money right now. You'll be scaling to 5 to 10K a month. And when you're about to hit that 10K mark, you as a owner can't do that alone. Either take on a strategic partner, hire a cameraman and editor, right? A mini team, get a virtual assistant. They're like $10 an hour if you want them to organize your day, content calendars for your clients, and all the above, etc. So the key lesson from this is really don't scale on what hasn't worked. Scale on what has worked. Repeat that. Double down on your offer. Double down on whatever got you those first few clients. Really sit there and study what got me those first few clients and repeat that. You need to scale with what's already working. And that's pretty much it, guys, for the first video on how I scaled my agency to 10K. And I'm going to be putting these videos out once or twice a week, hopefully a few times a month. And if you got value out of this video, or if you have any questions, really drop in the comments any questions you have. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.